Welcome back to the Tucker Yesterday Night Show. Now, as you likely already know, the 2024 presidential debate happened a while ago, and, keeping in tradition of being the slowest news source available, we are only now covering it. During the debate, the two candidates for this year's dreaded election, Baal and Moloch, answered 0 of the questions presented to them, and instead argued for the duration of the debate about how the other candidate has less child sacrifices.
You smell you're a poop-a-doo-doo head, and I have more child sacrifice than you.
Ask anybody on the street, they'll say, yeah, I
When everyone gets child sacrifice, they think Moloch, nobody thinks Baal, they don't even know what you did sacrifice.
Well, you know why? Because you are stinky fart face.
They then went into a 4-hour-long tangent about who was cooler in the Old Testament and refused to stop when the moderator asked them to. The only question either of them actually answered was when the moderator, Ray Pist, asked,
"What do you plan to do about the Catholic Church's concerns about how child sacrifice is objectively evil, except when Abraham was going to do it for God, in which case it was totally cool."
Who cares what they say? We're just gonna kill anyone that doesn't worship me.
This caused Baal's approval rating to go up by 0.002%, as not only was he the first candidate to actually answer a fucking question, but he's received praise from progressives for his all-new, inclusive, kill anyone that doesn't worship me plan, which is inclusive to Christians, Muslims, Jews, atheists, Buddhists, people that voted for Moloch, and even Baal's own supporters that don't do a good enough job worshiping him. In response to this, Moloch has presented a similar stance, but has stated he views the death penalty as inhumane and has promised to imprison everyone who disagrees with him in gulag-style labor camps with 0 hope of escaping from, where they will undoubtedly perish from starvation, being beaten by guards, or old age if they're lucky. Now, we go to Jared T. Mugger on the streets of some hick town in the middle of nowhere in Iowa.
Are you recording? Alright, yeah, Tucker, the situation is absolutely screwed. There's really no other way to describe it. There's women and children being decapitated left, right, and center. I saw a man get murdered by an ostrich a few minutes ago. I really don't know where that ostrich came from, but hey, anything's possible in this town, alright? So, the plan for now is we're gonna go around, we're gonna interview a couple of the kind citizens we see on the street, and hope none of us stab us with a machete or a used heroin needle. No, we're at a dingy crack alley right now. We're looking for somebody to interview. I hope I don't get literally shot in here because we don't need a killing on the news. Now, this is usually where I would rob people, but I don't have my gun on me today because that's not part of my official work uniform. Now, we haven't seen this much political tension in the community since the last election 4 years ago, which was, of course, the election between Lucifer and Satan. Very big difference there. Most people don't know that, but there's a difference. And, you know, of course, we all remember the turnout of that election where Lucifer won by 2 votes, which I think was fucking rigged, but that's besides the point. We're gonna hopefully find someone to interview and not a meth whore that's gonna kill us.
As a proud American citizen that 100% can legally vote, I'm going to very much say that I'm excited to be voting for the candidate.
And I heard the voice of thunder, and it spake unto me, and it said, Earl, why dost thou? And I heard the spirits of the divine, and they spake, and they said, What dost thou say? What did they say? They said,
Thank you, Jared. Very helpful. Anyway, in a recent statement, Baal has come out voicing his opposal to abortion, stating that he believes it to be a clump of cells rather than an independent organism, and thus demands that it be born before it can be deemed as a child offering. Moloch, on the other hand, has stated that he believes life begins at conception, and therefore supports abortion as an acceptable form of child sacrifice, so long as the unborn child, clump of cells, or whatever you believe it to be, wasn't conceived out of wedlock. Now, it's time for the ad break. back to the Tucker Yesterday Night Show. In a desperate attempt to gain popularity with modern audiences, Moloch has begun video game streaming on the internet. And now, for the next segment, let's look at some of the third-party candidates you're not going to vote for. Up first, we have the ever-controversial Asmodeus debuting for his first election in history. Up next is John Joel Glanton, several-time felon, scalp hunter, and leader of the infamous Glanton Gang. The next candidate, a lesser-known one by the name of Baphomet, former mayor of Wamsutter, Wyoming, is running for his 60th consecutive attempt at the presidency. Then, of course, we have Bill from down the street. We will now go over the campaign statements of each of these laughable attempts at the presidency, mostly so you can pretend to care about a candidate that isn't one of the primary two, so your friends think you're more nuanced in politics than you really are, when really you're just gonna vote by party like everyone else.
I'm over here stroking my...
I don't give a fuck about any of you. I am in this for your money, and your money only. That's all I care about. Alright?
Those pricks at the Satanic Temple made a statue in my image, which I appreciate. You know, I'm glad to finally get some recognition beyond the Knights Templar. But those bastards labeled it as Satan. I am not Satan. What makes you people think I'm Satan?
Oh, I promise to make sure Cheryl across the street isn't allowed to let her swallow yip and bark constantly at bystanders all day. And on top of that,
Well, luckily that's all the time we have for today. Tune in next week when we discuss why President Lucifer looks like Jim Morrison. Until then, watch out for people that wear this style of glasses and avoid cornfields at night.